Sickness has been dominating the headlines for several months now as the world continues to work its way through the COVID-19 global pandemic. The last time sickness was this ingrained in the popular consciousness was all the way back in the year 2000. Chicago nu metal act Disturbed released their first album in March of that year, which received middling but generally positive reviews. Steve Huey of AllMusic said the album, quote, comes off as the work of a band who really doesn't have far to go to achieve total control of its sound and compositional skills, and that makes it a terrific debut album. The most successful track off this album is often discussed for the unique vocalization made by singer David Draymond, as well as the questionable abuse segment, which is left out of the radio edit of the song. The song stayed on the charts for 64 weeks, peaking at number 2 on the rock charts in November of 2001. Although this single is often used as the anthem for sports teams and UFC fighters, it took a global pandemic to bring it back to the Billboard charts as digital sales and streams have spiked recently. That's right, we're talking Disturbed's Down with the Sickness on Cover Me.
Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let everyone to me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness.
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that talks about famous songs and their many cover versions, and compares them against one another to find out which one's a mother and which one's a fucker. I'm your host as always, Jake Cressy, joined by the demon in me.
Hey there, Jake. My name is Alex Mildenberger, and I'm here with you on this podcast.
A pleasure, as always, Alex Mildenberger, my co-host. How you feeling this week?
I'm starting to get a little bored, honestly. There's a lot of
bored, a little cagey.
A little bored, yeah. I'm sure it'll come back around, but for now, it's starting to get to me a little bit. But I think, it's to be expected. It's just part of what's going on here.
Yeah, it is just part of the thing. Like, I think somewhere in the first week, I was like, I can fucking do this forever. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, like,
and
I've
then
got
the second week comes in and
resources.
you're like, oh my god, like, what am I gonna do? Like, how long does this go on?
Like, how am I supposed to buy pants? What if I need to buy pants?
All these little small things. You're like, what if I need to get that thing? You're like, oh no. Can't do it. Quarantine, man.
It's weird. I walked over to, there's a cafe across the street from our place. And I mean, they've got like X's on the floor to keep everyone 6 feet apart. But it's a weird feeling because you can sort of, I don't know, it feels like you're not supposed to be there. Like you're like looking down at the floor ashamed of yourself and everyone else and like just trying to get out and leave.
Yeah, you don't want to look at anybody, you don't want to touch anybody. You barely want to do the transaction except you have to. Like
So it's weird. Are you going out? I mean, I'm trying to get out like just to walk without
just to
really
walk,
interacting with anything or anyone. But are you able to do that?
Yeah, so like I just go from my apartment to the car, and then we've only done it once, but Greta and I drove out to sort of just a neighborhood, but it was pretty much nobody on the streets there, obviously. And cherry blossoms are blooming here in Vancouver, so we got to see some cherry blossoms in bloom.
Well, at least you get a visual there. We just keep getting like snow on alternate weeks. It's been snowy here.
That's fucking Calgary for you, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But yeah, even going out, I'm like, should we be out here? Like you feel like you're cheating or something. Like there's this just
like
air
keep
of
yourself,
uneasiness.
and then like you try to walk by a person, or you come up to a person. There's like this moment of like, okay, do we walk by each other? And then it'll be an old person. They go off the like sidewalk a bunch, and you're like, I could have done that probably.
Like, yeah, that should have been me doing that.
But like maybe it's fine because we're not breathing on each other or towards each other. Like I don't know enough about how this virus transfer works. But I think it's mostly okay, but maybe not. Oh,
yeah, I'm just trying to like calculate 6 feet in my head. I'm like, what does that look like? What does that look like though? Are we 6 feet apart? Like,
how tall is a 6 foot tall person? Are their shoes adding a bit of height? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's strange times. We're trying to get through it. Talking about a strange phenomenon this week, in that Disturbed's 2000 hit "Down with the Sickness" has seen a minor spike, enough to get it back on the billboards.
Right,
a phenomenon that occurs for like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, I think, every year. Or like
Yeah,
pretty
and
consistently.
every once in a while you hear like Led Zeppelin 4 back on the charts, and like, I don't know what caused that. This seems to have a logical explanation. Supposedly also, It's the End of the World as We Know It by
Yeah.
REM is coming back.
Anytime
on
anything
charts
bad
and, yeah.
happens in the news, which we're actually going to talk about that in our bonus segment today, just a little foreshadowing. Talk about songs that were banned in 9/11,
I'll
or like
look forward to it.
suggested to be banned. Yeah.
I do remember hearing about some of those. Probably
Don't
from
look it
you.
up though, because
I won't.
it's a quiz show.
All right.
Alex, what's your relationship with Disturbed and their music?
Rock Band. This song is in Rock Band, and we played it back in the day, and I took zero note of it because I often would not pay attention to the songs because I was focusing on playing the game kind of. So there's a lot of songs I kind of remember from Rock Band, but like this, I never paid attention to this song. I only remember you doing the wah voice.
Wah!
Or trying, because it's difficult. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I just know this song. And also, this song is a like wild card in Drop Mix, which is a neat card game if anyone's never played it. That involves mixing and matching cards that are associated with different tracks from songs, and then you start to make this mix that is all these songs melded together. But Down with the Sickness is a wild card, so it is 4 different tracks, and the different track plays, or different parts of it play depending on where you put it on the board. But it also like takes over the whole mix, so like the whole song kind of like fades out and then comes in with a wah, and then like just goes into the mix. So it's kind of it's a neat moment, and that's what happens with all of these wild cards, but it's especially fun with Down with the Sickness because it has that vocalization.
Yeah, that vocalization itself is so key, I think, to this song's success. And like I mentioned in the intro, is probably the reason it's used for like several sports teams and a couple of UFC fighters for their intro music.
Yeah, just like that sound. It's so like kind of primal, I get. Like it comes from this like weird like internal place, and like it sounds very like basic but relatable sort of.
Yeah, so it's funny. People say that there's a rumor that the noise was one like inspired by monkeys he saw at the zoo, and he being David Draymond, and
Right.
2 that it was because of heartburn. And apparently, so Draymond has said that the sound
Sort
was
of.
made possible by effects on his vocal cords after having received surgery for acid reflux. But the reason for it, he says, here's the quote: "I mean, the song originally was written and just had a pause. Mikey's beat is just so tribal, and it just made me feel like an animal. The noise came out one day." So that you called it primal is, I think, you hit it on the head there.
Right. Did you see? There's an interview that's linked in the Genius page.
Yeah,
where
the
he talks about
Loudwire
that.
interview.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Where he says like, yeah, it was just silence, and one day we were recording or playing it or whatever, and I just made this sound, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? What was that?" And he was kind of like, no, just trust me on this one. And then it worked out for them in the end. So it's great, but
No kidding. I would never have the courage to pull that out.
just
in a
like
jam
make a sound,
session.
and everyone like, what the fuck? Okay, but I mean, it kind of makes the song. Like, it's what the song is known for, in my mind.
Yeah,
It's what I
it's
know
like,
the song for sure.
Like, yeah, that is its key thing, and in a lot of ways, he talks. Like Dan Draymond has talked a lot about, or at least from what I read from his page and Disturbed's page, how influenced they were by grunge, but they're also new metal, and this does kind of sound like the
Right.
middle point between those two, where it is a simple grunge progression. It holds a lot of similarities to Smells Like Teen Spirit and how it's composed, I think.
Sure.
But it's with a metal styling, like the tone on the instruments and some of the rhythms are very much of that style.
Just gonna say, I'm saying David Draymond. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
David Draymond. Did I call him Dan Draymond?
Yes, there is a Dan.
Yeah, there's
in the
Dan
band.
Donegan, David Draymond.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, figured I'd just make that quick correction before we move on.
I did call him David at least the first 2
I'm
times.
sure.
though.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do both a lot. throughout the rest of the episode, if we mention his name again.
Yeah.
I'll try not to, because I don't use names.
Yeah, fuck names.
Yeah, names are lame. I do agree, and I think a lot of that kind of has to do when we were looking into Smells Like Teen Spirit last week. Kind of came up this sort of trivia fact, piece of trivia, whatever, about grunge in that it's very kind of heavy metal influenced. But bringing that sort of into a more rock place. And then you get into nu metal, which obviously also has metal influence, and like it's kind of post grunge at this point. So everything's sort of cross pollinating and doing similar things, I think.
Right. So in a sort of sense of like dialectics, where there's the thesis, the antithesis, and then synthesis, which is the middle point between the twos. Synthesis. So like nu metal is almost the synthesis point between metal and grunge.
Is that what it is, like, technically?
It's what it feels like to me. Nu metal also pulls from hip hop and stuff a lot, though. If we had to get if you were to put me on the spot, Alex, and make me define nu metal, I'd go to my friend Google, who would then take me to Wikipedia, who would say it's a subgenre of alternative metal that combines elements of heavy metal music with elements of other music genres such as hip-hop, alternative rock, funk, industrial, and grunge.
There you go.
So I hit, like, half of the genres it contains.
Not bad. And, I mean, it depends on who's playing it, right? And what song it is. So this one definitely has a bit of a grunge feeling, a bit of a metal feeling. Not so much, like, hip-hop. But
yeah, not a lot of hip hop elements. But of course, when a lot of people think of nu metal, I think they think of Linkin Park.
Yes, definitely. And they were kind of, what surprised me, I remember back when we did talk about Numb, was they were kind of like late nu metal. Like the album reviews were like, this is the nu metal we've been hearing for years, but like kind of perfected.
Right.
Or that was what someone said, and I was kind of surprised because not having much exposure to nu metal, I was thinking that I didn't realize it had been around for long enough for people to be tired of it at the time.
Yeah, I really, in my mind, Linkin Park is still like the starting point, but that's clearly not true.
Yeah. So
for that
gives you an idea of my mental timeline for music genres in the 90s. It's very wrong.
Mm-hmm. Who knew that we had such a poor sense of time in the 90s? I mean, I don't even have a good sense of time now, but, you know.
It's even worse in the 90s. I was barely
Speaking of time, though, Alex, I think it's time we get into the lyrics of this song.
I think it is time we talked about this song a bit.
Can you feel that?
Shit. So that's just, he just makes some sounds and something.
Yeah.
And then he does the wah.
I love like your best do wah right now.
My wah.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Wah.
Hey, not bad. Wah. I sound like I swallowed something.
It's very. I think it needs to be like kind of low down, you know, like.
Yeah, I think I can't keep really trying to hit high.
Do it. Try to do the.
Wah. Nope. Wah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a tough sound to make. I do like if you look on the Genius lyrics, the next part he just says "oh oh." Oh, like
yeah,
like he's not saying.
I'm gonna keep trying the whole episode.
That's fun. That's apparently the
lyrics.
it's
some hype shit. That intro,
yes, and it's very like guttural, and maybe this. Well, I'll talk about that more when we get into the instrumentation because it's kind of part of that.
Yeah, and I think that intro is directly in relation to the drums that are being played in the intro.
Yes, which are very
very heavy.
But that's the next section. Don't want to get ahead of myself.
Can you feel that? But I think that's what he's saying when he says, "Can you feel that?" Oh shit! He's like, these drums are out of fucking control, people.
Like it's that, like he said, it made him feel like this primal feeling, like, oh man. Do these drums take you to this specific place? Like, are you reacting the way I'm reacting to this? Oh shit! Yeah, and then let's
and
feel
then it
it
overtakes
and then
him.
Get into the songs. This is like hype. So maybe that's the hip hop influence. This is like the hype man part.
Yeah,
it's like the introduction.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Good call, Alex. So we get to verse 1, which is drowning deep in my sea of loathing. Broken, your servant, I kneel. Brackets.
Will you give
Will
it
you
to
give
me?
it to me? Will you give it to me? It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give it to me? Or give in to me, yeah. Alex, what do you make of those first 4 lines?
I usually take this stuff pretty literally. It seems to be
So wait, there's a literal sea of loathing?
yeah, literal sea of loathing. He's drowning, man. He just needs air. No, it seems to be kind of like an abusive relationship situation. That's what I'm reading out of it. That is causing this person to kind of feel like they're losing their humanity and turn into maybe something themselves violent. And later on, how far did you get? Human side? Slowly changing.
It's slowly changing in me, yeah.
Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes violently, it changes kind of suggests that their vision of themselves is changing, and maybe they are not who they thought they were. And maybe it's because of external influence. It seems to be happening quickly.
Yeah. Do you think, and this is, I know it's not about this, but great lyrics for puberty, right?
I was also thinking puberty. Like there's kind of the puberty feeling, like something's changing and I don't understand it. And like
Yeah,
I don't have
sea of
control over
loathing.
it, because you get that like that servant kneeling imagery. It doesn't have to be, I guess, literally being subservient to someone, but maybe just not having control over what's happening. And something else is, and it feels like that other aspect is part of you is in control. So yeah, I mean that's another take. I feel like we have mentioned that before. Is that something we discussed back in the Rock Band days?
It really is like, it sounds like a conversation we've had before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it must have been from back then. You know, suddenly it changes violently. It changes, and maybe it's just because we were in like high school at that time,
and it would,
you know,
it would have
puberty
made more
is
sense.
fresh
to
on the
us.
mind. Like,
but it's kind of this very like, I mean, sea of loathing, like kneeling, broken. Like, there's no humanity left in me. My human side's mostly gone. And like these mirrors, it's this very like gritty, like dirty way of just like saying all this stuff, I think. And maybe the album artwork contributes to that, but that's just kind of how I've interpreted it. It feels that way, and I'm sure the music has something to do with it as well.
And yeah, and like, yeah, so it talks about this shift, I guess, from being human to you've woken up the demon in me. And then that takes us into the chorus, where, you know, get up, come on, get down with the sickness 3 times over. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucker, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is the gift that has been given to me.
Give it to me. I always thought it was mother and father.
I never knew what the second one was.
Did they censor it in Rock Band?
Maybe. I always thought it was your mother, though. Your mother, get up.
Yeah, it's like your mother and your father, like, because
they're doing it.
You got to do it too. Yeah, this is the kind of song that for me, my initial reaction would be like to say it's sort of taking itself too seriously, at least for my tastes. And I hate to do that. That's usually my knee-jerk reaction to a lot of like new metal and grunge and maybe metal as well. Sometimes, and I do feel a little bad about that because like I hate to diminish like legitimate self-expression in other people, sort of thing.
Right.
So that was that, but I have to say that was my initial reaction to this, and then I sort of pulled back a bit, because that's maybe not a great way to approach things, but it definitely feels very serious.
It does feel very serious, but I think at the core of it, with just the one line, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. In the first verse, he's talking about these grotesque, violent changes that are happening to him.
Right.
And oddly enough, like it's a very, very positive chorus. Almost, it's like accept change, baby. Like
Right.
get down
Yeah.
with the sickness.
And like it's the imagery is very very gritty and violent, but also it seems to be like, yeah, all right, let's do this. Let's go for it. Let it happen. Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's
open
talking
up
about
your
like hate
hate,
and
let it
stuff.
flow into me. Like
Uh,
it's a. We're getting into like Star Wars territory, right? Where it's like, do you like let the emotions, negative emotions, come in and use them? You know, like
right.
the Sith do, or are you like, no, we got to be positive and keep that shit out of here because we're good Jedi.
Right. And then a little, and this is another thing, a little like that edgelord side. I don't think that's what's happening here necessarily, but that might be a way someone would react to this. Like madness is the gift. Like I am insane, and that's like how I will gain the upper hand or whatever.
Yeah, it also reminds me of "Crazy" by Gnarls Barkley.
Oh yeah, a little bit, a little less
Or
funky,
it's
but
the idea, and that's because I guess I have to bring this up. Okay, I was gonna bring it up when we got to the abuse lyrics, but the people have talked about that scene where it's this weird like conversation. Is it here in the Genius lyrics? Yes, it is.
yeah,
So I guess I'm just gonna put a trigger warning out here. We're gonna talk about the bridge real quick.
right.
It does depict a scene of physical abuse and violence. So if that is something that's uncomfortable for you, we're just going to go through that real quick. Maybe skip ahead like a minute. I'll be done reading this. So the bridge is, no, mommy, don't do it again. Don't do it again. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good boy. I promise. No, mommy, don't hit me. Why did you have to hit me like that, mommy? Don't do it. You're hurting me. Why did you have to be such a bitch? Why don't you just fuck off and die? Why can't you just fuck off and die? Why can't you just leave here and die? Never stick your hand in my face again, bitch. Fuck you. I don't need this shit. You stupid, sadistic, abusive fucking whore. How would you like to see how it feels, mommy? Here it comes. Get ready to die. Now, all this is a wind up. So this is taken out of the radio version. People say it's a pretty poor depiction of, obviously a very serious topic, and I tend to agree with that. But they've come out as saying that it's not about an actual physical abuse, but about, quote, mother society abusing her children and sort of forcing them into submission. I'm trying to find the quote where I've got that from. It might actually be on Genius here. They might have that cooked up there. Yeah, so the quote is, I'm really talking about the conflict between the mother culture of society, who's beating down the child yearning for independence and individuality, and the submission of the child. Which, that's where that anger comes from. And so the sickness is a rebelling against the normative culture rather than it is like just being bad or being pubescent.
Right. It's more about, like you said, like rebellion, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like over the course of this bridge, the narrator, sort of the stream of consciousness, sort of realizes, or goes from a place of subservience to like realizing maybe this isn't going to stop, and they need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, in that, I think the idea of getting down of madness is the gift that's been given to me. Is that this is again this idea of that came up in, I think, Crazy and also Feel Good Inc. is seeing society for what it is and not being comfortable with it is a gift in this case. That madness that is actually just you being like, no, this is pretty problematic.
yeah,
is a
do
gift.
something about it, kind of thing. Also, they kind of seem to approach it from like an angry angle, like I'm talking about like open up like your hate or whatever, and like let the hate flow, all that. So when you say madness is a gift, maybe that's also not just like madness as insanity, but like just anger, like
Yeah, legitimate anger.
because they're mad, which is
And that's
another
I
way to
mean,
use the
I
word.
think for a lot of younger new metal fans, I think a lot of people get into it when you're young because it is an acceptable like vent for anger.
Right. And a lot of young people are kind of angry a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
a
told.
lot.
I wasn't, I guess I was sometimes. Yeah, no. I mean, I tell myself I wasn't, but I'm sure I was.
No, I was. I've turned it into grumpiness now, which is just old anger.
It's more socially acceptable.
Exactly. People are like, this guy, what a hoot.
You're like, get off my lawn. Don't talk to me about owls.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to me about owls. Oh,
Ugh.
hoot. Gotcha.
It's a pun.
Ah, classic Alex.
Ah.
So yeah, this idea of a positive spin on negative emotions or on negative perceptions of yourself or even negative perceptions in society seems to be at the core of the chorus.
The chorus core.
The chorus chorus.
Chorus.
Which brings us to verse 2. I can see inside you the sickness is rising. Don't try to deny what you feel. Will you give it to me? It seems that all that was good has died and is decaying in me. Will you give it to me?
Will you give it to me?
Will you? So it's yeah, you want to take this one?
Well, not fully, but this does seem to be a bit of a perspective shift
Mm-hmm.
to me because we're talking before about this person saying they're subservient and they're, experiencing these changes, and then they're saying, I see inside you, and you are experiencing the sickness, and the good is dead and decaying. It seems anyway. And
Wait,
no,
yeah.
you're up.
So in the first verse, the demon inside him is woken up, and then I
Right.
think maybe story wise, the course of the chorus, he's accepted the sickness, and now he's angry woke or whatever you want to call it. And so now he can see in other people the sickness is rising, and he's saying, "Don't try to deny your feelings. Like, don't repress that." It's
your feelings.
yeah, and so he's like, he's like, it seems that all that was good has died and is decaying in me. It's like it looks that way from your fucking normie point of view, but and it seems you're having some trouble dealing with these changes, living with these changes. The world's a scary place. Now you've woken up the demon in me. It's just like, well, now, maybe all that's good has died, but we got to deal with these changes because change is coming, baby. Tom Sawyer. Changes aren't permanent, but change is. And again, he's like, accept. It's essentially, to sum it up, it's like accept this negativity and use it.
Become more powerful. Go to the dark side.
And then I guess it seems you're having some trouble. He seems to suggest that he's going to help them. It seems you're having some trouble. Like, I gotta help you out. Here's how you do it. Get up. Come on, get down with the sickness.
Yeah. So it definitely seems like we say this often, but of its time kind of situation. Like I would not like this sort of expression of this sort of a feeling is a bit dated now. Do you agree? Or is it just that
it's a little almost like
less relatable to me?
It's in the realm of self-deprecation, where it's like we be negative things because that's totally good, bro. That's hashtag counterculture. Whereas these days, more of the culture seems to be around like positivity.
Yeah.
And being, like if you look at like punk rock from like the 70s and then you look at punk rock nowadays, there's a lot more like we need to band together and be best friends because punk rock is being good to your neighbor but also not like in the government. And you're like, oh yeah, like it's a lot more like we together and like we are a positive force rather than this, which is like, yeah, we're fucking gross bags of shit, fuck yeah, brother.
Yeah, it's almost the Fight Club thing of like you gotta hit rock bottom before like you can self-improve or whatever.
Yeah,
which is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it's that really like we got to be down and dirty and gross because society is like so
Man.
fucking clean, bro.
Yeah. So maybe that's worth something. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
definitely
maybe.
a different
I mean,
perspective. And
I
think
don't know if this song could get written today, you know?
it's definitely not as common an attitude compared to 2000 when this came out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was around the same time as Fight Club too. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of more the attitude, the zeitgeist in certain circles.
Yeah, and not to say we don't have music that's about like, don't like we still have music like be a fucking weirdo, be an individual, don't conform, but you're less likely to be portrayed as like a grubby, sick rat in them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just a different way of approaching because I mean, in a lot of ways, we're saying a lot of the same things, and I think this kind of message probably got taken in the wrong way in a lot of ways back then, and there's messages now that are taken in the wrong way in a lot of the same ways now. So
Yeah,
I
you gotta
I,
wonder
I
what
feel like I have
people.
a thesis that I didn't really explain very well because I'm going off the cuff. So maybe I should not.
How you're take another crack at it. You might have it.
I've kind of lost the thread, unfortunately.
So is your thread
Yeah.
that like the the negative side effects of misinterpreting what we can argue is maybe the same message that is being told here, but in a different tone, in a different style.
Right. I think what I'm
The
doing is I have condemned this thing in my mind and I'm trying to justify it without explaining my original position,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
so you've condemned this song.
Or not necessarily this song, but this mindset.
Okay, I'm getting down with the sickness.
Of at least viewing it in that particular way, in this gritty way, of like, but maybe more violent, hateful way, kind of thing. Because they talk about hate and violence literally in this song, and maybe
Mhm.
it's a metaphor, but
I mean, the only mention of violence, if I'm correct, is in how quickly the changes happen.
true. He also says, "Here it comes, get ready to die." That's a
Yeah,
line.
that's for 100% sure. And if we want to like briefly talk about that, I think in terms of what he is saying it offers, what Draymond says it offers, which is this conflict between the mother culture of society and this beating down of the younger generation. I think in terms of like a rising up and like overcoming that thing, Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine does a much better job.
right.
Where like midway through the song they repeat, now you do what they told you, now you do what they told you, and then the outro of course is fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Like in 2 lines they've achieved a much stronger and a much more catchy like anthem that speaks to the same thesis that bridge does.
Right. So I guess the idea is this song expresses a lot of kind of zeitgeisty feelings that were around at the time, not necessarily in the best way, and I think it does a decent job of it. Um, but it's always difficult because there's a lot of negative view around this type of attitude, kind of the edge of society and like I know everything because I can see what other people can't kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like
anytime
that
we
you
have
might
to talk
see it
about
like associate with like Joker kind of thing.
oh yeah,
Um,
people are getting jokerfied from this song left and
yeah.
right, man.
So like, um, so there's a lot of negativity around this sort of maybe an outlook nowadays, which I'm
Mhm.
sure has upsides and downsides.
I mean, I think there's always been that kind of
Yeah.
negativity out of it. If you look at the sort of style of how the members of Disturbed dress and stuff, like big trench coats and shit, like that's how people portray like school shooters. Is they're
Right,
like,
and I
oh,
guess then there's the other side is like you're talking about. Well, this literally the band is called Disturbed, but you're trying to say, well, a disturbed individual was influenced by this in a certain way. Now I'm getting way into topics that I have no right to speak about.
yeah. Now, my one question for you, as far as edgelord goes, do you think with the lines "you mother get up" and then "you fucker get up," was it because like he says mother on the first one, you're like, oh yeah, like a mom, and then he's like, oh, it was actually mother, as in like motherfucker. And he
Right,
clarifies it with the next one. Do you think that was like an edgelord move?
a little bit, but also it doesn't seem like terribly unclever to me or anything. Like it's fine. It doesn't like because I always thought it was mother and father, but when I found out it
Right.
was fucker, like it didn't like make me roll my eyes or anything because it's a bit of a
Right.
misdirect. So
It seems pretty natural in there
yeah,
too. Like, all right, I'll allow it. So the post chorus is "and when I dream" repeated 4 times, which brings us into the bridge,
And
the
when
the
I
abuse
dream.
segment. Yeah, which I like. It just doesn't seem necessary to me.
The abuse segment.
Yeah, it seems like edgelord territory. Like it's not cleverly written.
Yeah, it's kind
Like it
of.
achieves its point technically, and it gives the shock value, which I guess they probably wanted. But it just seems like there could have been a better way to do it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like this stream of consciousness of like shouting, like "fuck off and die," and like "you're a bitch,"
Mm-hmm.
which like doesn't resonate with me all that much. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything, really,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme.
But I will say that the music that plays at this part is pretty good. It's a good change up. But not the point of this section. From there we go into the hook, and then the and then back into the final chorus and outro. The only different line here is the final line, which is "Madness has now come over me."
And that's kind of the end. So
Yeah, I think that's a good twist on the chorus to end it like that.
sort of shows the progression of the story.
Yeah, and it's like here's where we finish. Madness has now come over me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and so it has. How
So
about
yeah,
that?
in the same sense that when we talked about "Smells Like Teen Spirit," which I haven't released that episode yet. I probably won't release it soon because we have so many other songs that are like more relevant to talk about right now.
Oh, is it gonna get pushed back?
It's gonna get pushed back, I think, because I'm gonna release this week, and then we've got people fucking dropping like flies left and right.
Dropping
I
like
would
flies.
to-
We gotta talk about like Fountains of Wayne, Bill Withers,
Bill Withers,
possibly others that I haven't thought of, possibly
Guys,
others
stay
that
at
haven't
home.
died yet.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Uh,
So
we can talk about Pink. She survived it.
yeah.
Want
True.
to do a positive twist on it. But yeah, so I'm gonna push this one forward, and yeah. So but talking about that, both of them, both "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and this one seem to, and maybe it's just because we were in the pubescent years around this time, or at least going into them. It has like a teenaged element to it in the songwriting, in some of the themes and stuff.
Right. And I have to wonder because like oftentimes pop music it's called teenage. It is aimed at teenagers, right? So would
Mhm.
all songs have that, and we just don't notice it or don't talk about it?
Maybe. Well, it's nowadays I only listen to adult contemporary.
Ah, that's a good point. It's all "you're beautiful, it's true." That's
Is
all.
that adult contemporary?
I don't know.
That one had to top the
Maybe.
pop charts. I refuse to believe it didn't.
We'll have to look it up.
We'll have to look it up. So those are the lyrics. It's about and some people think this song is about heroin because he used to be a heroin user and he had a girlfriend who actually died from overdose. He being David Draymond. Some people think it's about some other bullshit. General unwellness, learning to fight back against anxiety, accepting others as they are, which seems like a bit of a stretch. I think it's more about accepting your own negative emotions and
Seems
accepting that
to
maybe
be.
they're a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, it seems to be about accepting something negative.
Yeah, or even like accepting maybe emotions that aren't necessarily negative but might be painted as negative societally, and kind of trying to move past what your perception of that emotion is as
Yeah.
shaped by a society that frowns on it.
Just take in the emotion and feel it. It's very in that sense. It's like a very mindful practice
Yeah.
to be like, hey, you're feeling this. Open it up. Open up your hate and let it flow, brother. That's how if you're in the new metal community and a dude's like really upset, that's how you say like let's talk. He's like, open up your hate and let it flow into me.
And they're like, "Oh, thanks, man. That's really great."
They're like, yeah, my mom's
Like,
a real
oh,
bitch.
okay.
You're like, oh, good to hear.
Let it out. Let it out.
Let it out, man. Yeah, with that, we're gonna talk about the instrumentation. This is a very, very distorted guitars. It opens up with a pretty iconic drum intro.
Yeah, like I
And-
said, very very tom heavy. I think the instrumentation is the stronger part of this song.
It really like where the lyrics have some failings. The instruments really allow you to just fucking get into the vibe of the song.
Yeah, totally. So the other kind of trivia bit about this song that I know or learned is the guitar is played in like a drop something tuning.
E flat drop D
E flat
flat,
drop.
the most
So,
common
yeah.
drop tuning for bands who play generally in E flat standard instead of E standard.
Yeah, so I think most of the strings are tuned down to like a half step or something, and then the lowest string is tuned down to an A
To
or
a
something.
C.
Okay.
Sharp, C sharp.
C sharp. That
Yeah,
sounds
that's
right.
the quote from Dan Donegan, apparently.
Okay. So, and that I think it seems logical. That would make it sound a little darker because everything
you're
is
bringing things a little lower.
everything's lower, yeah. Although that doesn't necessarily mean darkness. But so that's the other thing about this song, and then that drum beat. And I think like he's mentioned that the drum beat feels so like primal and so like because it's so like tom focused and you just get that
Yeah.
and then he makes the sound and I think that's kind of the start of this very like guttural kind of feeling in this song. And the other thing actually the first thing is not the wahs, but like there's this kind of muted distorted guitar thing that's just going like and that's to me sounds just like this like retching feeling sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yes.
like literally like dry heaving or vomiting.
Yeah, it's very like gritty, like kind of gross noises in this song, right down to like even the
Yeah.
tom plays to those with that sort of deep bassy echo to it, like the things they layer on top of it, that kind of nasty guitar, and then his guttural noises, like it builds a gross soundscape.
Yeah. Especially this like beginning, and that really sets up the mood of the song. You know what you're getting in for. Like we said in the lyrics, it kind of has like this hype beginning that like gives you an idea as to what the song is like. And really that's what they're doing. Like they're telling you what the deal is here. Like they're prepping you for what this song is going to be about.
Yeah. I think like in that, can you like he starts out talking like a human. He's like, "Ah, shit, can you feel that?" And then he just starts making crazy noises. If that's not the demon waking up in you, like that intro is almost like your thesis summary of the song.
Yeah, it's your like dumb show, except he's speaking.
Yeah.
And the guitar also plays this like this is right at the beginning, and it's kind of along with the rhythm of the drums, and that's a neat little riff going along too. So it's kind of got this like cool like heavy rock sound too.
Yeah, and like very similar to Smells Like Teen Spirit in that regards, where it's a simple riff that pretty much dominates the majority of this song.
Right.
Because that plays throughout the verse. And
it's like a bit
chugging metal rhythm.
Changed, I think, just because it kind of like they take some bits out. That might be in the chorus. Yeah, that's in the chorus.
Well, yeah,
where it like lets it ring out more and doesn't play as many notes.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and you've got.
I'm getting ahead now.
No, we're pretty much right on track. I
You're
think.
right.
Yeah, cymbal action on the drums when we get to the verse. You get a little more chug on that progression in the verse than you do in that intro.
Right, the distortion is kind of like opened up a lot, and you're really getting that distorted sound.
And then when we come into the chorus, we get the addition of that sort of high and clean distortion that does just like a couple of newts.
Right,
that
it's like two notes at a time.
A couple of notes that it noodles.
A couple of newts, man.
Doo-doop. Doo-doo-doop.
And does that not happen in Smells Like Teen Spirit as well?
Something very similar happens, if not that exactly.
I should have checked because I swear that happens. Oh, right. We also talked about Kenny Rogers. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. Kenny Rogers, baby.
Everyone's dying, sometimes from coronavirus.
Yeah, sometimes just from being Kenny Rogers for too long.
All right. Yeah, it was Kenny Rogers for a lot of years.
Long fucking time.
So let's see. We're talking about the chorus?
Yeah, I'm on the chorus right now. Unless you got some more verse notes that you want to hit me with.
I guess the only other thing is the way he sort of like he sings. He actually sings more like growled on the changes lines when he talks about looking into the mirror, and he says suddenly it changes. His voice actually changes in tone. So that's,
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of a neat
Yeah, because
effect.
he does these sort of slow, almost whiny bit of singing at the beginning. Yoking up that demon, and suddenly it changes. Like he starts to growl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I mean, meaning.
I mean, yeah, dog. Meaning.
So there's meaning there. I'm sure.
It's chock full of meaning.
Can
you
you
look
hear
at that
it?
and you're like,
Can you feel
can
it?
you can you feel it? Ah, shit.
Shit.
Wah!
and, and then right, that's in the chorus. They play the Down with the Sickness, and they're kind of like boo-doop, boo-doop. And then they also kind of like the way the way he sings the lines in the chorus. It's very like staccato, particularly in the second part.
Right.
Like it ends. It's very like your mother get up, come on, get, like it just ends very fast. It's very fast decay on those, and then like madness is the get, like it's very rhythmic. There's a lot of rhythmic stuff in this song, percussive.
Yeah, it is very percussive singing style, which really helps to punch.
Maybe there's another hip hop influence there,
Ah, maybe.
just a little bit, but some, Well, I guess it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, but could be.
Could be. So yeah, when we come back into the second verse, we get another like guitar noodling. This like they're sort of long held notes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little bit lower in the mix. And it kind of builds over top of the progression there.
Would you call it a solo?
Um
It's just kind of
No,
like
'cause-
sustained notes. It's kind of like you're like just kind of have them like breathing, more than anything. And then a quick transition into that second verse.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about where he just holds some notes. Like when
Okay.
he gets into the set, because yeah, you have the intro drums and then a long note for the break between. But I think that same guitar that hit that long note comes back for that verse and does these like down.
I didn't think there was more of that in the second verse. Do you think there is?
Is there? Was it in the first verse? Oh, it is. That's coming on the first verse. You're right.
Okay, because I was kind of gonna make the note of like not a lot changes between the two verses. It's pretty even.
Well, you're right to make that note because you're 100% correct.
Which I mean, we talked about the lyrics. It does have this change of perspective, but it's not really changing like what happens. Sort of. It's almost like if you're talking about this relationship between two people in the first one, it's almost the same relationship. It's just flipped. Like it's the one person from the first one with a new person, kind of thing, passing it on to the next person. That was my take on it anyway. So not changing the music kind of makes sense. Like it's the same things happening. It's cyclical or whatever.
Yeah, and so that plays through. It plays through to the chorus again. It's consistent. We get to the bridge where things change up a little. And it's sort of like you get the lead guitar coming in there. It very much sounds like it could be a video game boss, like entry music. It's this bow down 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 down. Like it's still a very simple
Heavy
progression.
guitar. It does feel like kind of an introduction. A little bit, which makes sense because that's kind of the depiction in the bridge section, in the
it is depicting a conflict.
Abuse monologue, one might
Yes.
call it, if one did not want to refer to it by a section.
Yeah, a section.
And that other way it sort of continues. The drums change up a little bit too, and the drums sort of, as the voice sort of becomes more and more like intense, I would say, because it's spoken, but he kind of like starts to scream at the end.
Right.
I think at least a little more,
Mm-hmm.
Am I?
And once we go from that section, which goes on, it's again, it's steady, like it's the same notes fucking over and over and over again for the abuse segment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe we break to just a single guitar on the main riff, right?
Yeah, it does this like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, like way back at the beginning. Not exactly like back at the beginning, but kind of after the intro.
Yeah, and then the drums come in and that bass comes in as well, which is like the first time I heard a bass on the track.
It's always tough with these like very like textural songs, this like metal grunge sort of thing. Um, sometimes, often to pick out individual sounds.
Yeah. And particularly bass, especially if they throw distortion on it, which
Right,
I
it
don't
just kind
think
of
they did here, but like
blends
it
together.
blends.
It's probably like a little bit.
Maybe it sounds
Well,
very steely on
does
that
sound-
breakdown
yeah.
section.
Anyway, yeah, but you don't notice it very much for sure. That part, it's kind of weird because like that part of the rhythm is almost less important because you can not hear it much, but the rhythm is kind of so important in this song. It's very strange that it was omitted, even though it's not.
Yeah.
It's just almost
It's-
seems like it is.
It's because it's almost like it's like a group rhythm, right? Like everybody's doing the rhythm, so it doesn't matter that you can't hear the rhythm instrument.
Right, right.
Yeah, and from there we go right into the ending, which is very abrupt. It's just the end of the chorus. He says, "Madness has now come over me," and then it's done. It's over.
And that's the thing. That's the song.
That's the whole of it, baby. Those drums do fucking slap. That
Yeah,
is,
they hit pretty hard.
That's my big takeaway from this is strong intro and yeah, good rhythm track. Similar to Teen Spirit, simple, played well with good like greasy textures on it. You know?
Yeah, and kind of has like its hook that is interesting. The wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
solid song, probably deserves to be remembered, but as we mentioned, maybe not super as strong, not weak necessarily, but not as strong in the lyrics, or maybe a little more
Yeah.
dated in the lyrics.
Maybe a little dated, and I think other people sort of that era have done his idea better, or at least parts of it.
Sure.
The
believe
music video we're gonna talk about briefly. I don't know if you watched it. It's just concert footage.
Didn't because I started and it was just concert footage.
Yeah, so it was recorded at the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, at the time the Tweeter Center in Tinley Park, Illinois, during Q101's Jamboree 2001. It's a combination of onstage footage and offstage footage that's shot in black and white. And it's, it's the kind of music video you make when your song accidentally becomes a hit in the mainstream, and you're like, well, we better get something on MTV. Is my read on that.
I mean, we've seen these before. I don't see the point in them necessarily. That's probably it. Like, shit, we want MTV to play this, and they won't play it if there's no video. And
Yeah, so here's a video.
we don't have a video concept. So, yeah, there's not much to say about it.
There's
other
that.
than
But it
that.
looks like they do the live footage when he's doing the drum intro, and it's doing the thing where like all the lights are flashing in time with the drumming, and like that's always pretty hype.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. That's a classic. That's a classic stage trick.
Classic stage
Good
trick.
shit. Gotta love
My
flashing
question
lights.
to you, Alex, is for the live version of this, do you think he, in the intro, do you think he whispers the, like, do you feel that? Or do you think he fucking screams it?
Like I mean,
He's like, do you feel that? Oh, shit! It's like he's trying to hype him up, or does he play like professionally? He's like, just like the record, do you feel that?
I would expect him
shit."
to kind of whisper it because like the drums are pretty hype, the lights are pretty hype, and you just kind of get this like under the surface like, oh yeah, you feel
Yeah, and I
that,
guess, like,
baby?
The climax point is him saying, him doing the wah.
Yeah, you gotta do that loud, but
Yeah. All right. Well, that
maybe
was
turn
my
the mic up
question.
for that first part.
Asked and answered. Alex, we were gonna jump
Asked
into
and
our cover
received.
versions.
Yeah.
Proto X in 2013 is our first version. So what you think about this Proto X fella? Do you
My
get any information on him?
he's Dutch, I think, just based on the
Okay.
name. Jurgen, it's probably like Jurgen Stals.
Okay, I didn't even
I
get
don't know
a
how to say
name
his
off of this
name.
guy.
I
find
don't remember
anything.
where I found it. Let me look here. real quick. Proto X, Facebook page for Proto X, but it might also be a
Okay.
Facebook page for Protox, which is a pretty common. Like no, here he is on Discogs. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's not his Facebook page.
Okay.
Where it showed. So he's allegedly in 1995 got his first contact with hardcore, and then now he's a total hardcore addict.
Oh, cool.
Um,
He's like, does it say what his genre is?
allegedly hardcore, but I didn't think what this is what hardcore is.
I thought this was like the new metal of dance music.
Basically. But I thought hardcore was more like punk like. But anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like hardcore but a different kind of hardcore.
Could be.
But this one, yeah.
This one's a fucking nightmare.
Kind of dance music. It's very it strikes me as music that I have not much desire to listen to, but some people probably would. Like, it's not for me. It's definitely not for me.
This plays in like every warehouse rave scene in a movie when somebody's at a seedy place they shouldn't be. They're listening to this track and this track only.
It's very like harsh and not really appealing to me, probably for that reason.
Yeah, it's take a kick drum, blow it out like completely, and then do that for fucking 5 minutes.
And like some record scratches in the background.
Yeah. And that's most of this song. Like, that's most of it.
Yeah, and then eventually they bring in Down with the Sickness. But yeah, it's mostly just that like very distorted kick drum and some
Yeah.
and then just like parts of a sample of the song.
Yeah, it's just and suddenly it changes, woken up the demon in me, and then he says, "Get down with the sickness."
Yeah,
And,
so like the second part of the first verse and then the first part of the chorus.
Yeah. And like the biggest change in this song is how frequently they make that bass drum hit.
Like the bass drum hit itself and like they
Yeah.
do some like builds and drops.
Yeah. And
Which
then
like probably more than I would expect in one song.
No kidding. Well, at 140 they do a fake end. And I swear to you, God, the first time I was like, yeah, that feels like it's been 5 minutes. Looked at it. 1:40. I just about fucking cried.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, it's like there's like the synthesizer sound just doing this like like right for that part. It's very, I don't know how else to refer to it, but like harsh.
Yeah, this is
like
what a straight edge
noisy.
person thinks cocaine is like. Is this is
Yeah, so there's not much else to say. There's a bit where like it kind of drops down, I think, like the drums go away.
Yeah. So that's I'm at that part right now as I've got it in the background. It's around the 2-minute mark. And yeah, we get a different drum beat, a little more like fast pace. Less bass on it. We get this sort of like whooping kind of fading fading synth. Whoop 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 whoop.
And then yeah, that line gets played a lot. It does the like build using just like a ratcheting drum hit, which basically just means more hits per beat, and then eventually it's like 16 or what, like turns it up just like and then like keeps doubling basically.
Yeah, and then this whooping synth, they loved it so much they're like, we'll bring it back with the dumb bass drum. It's like
Both
if
at
you're
the
at
same
that
time.
warehouse rave and then the fire alarm goes off, but nobody's leaving the building.
That's how you get them out of there.
No, that's how you make this song. That fucking synth at the top there is just it's the fire
With
alarm.
the fire alarm. Yeah, it's not much for me.
No, it's,
I do find it difficult. I don't want to like shit all over it
I'm shitting all over it, bro.
because it just seems like music that was made for someone who is not me. Very much.
Yeah,
not me.
maybe if this plays at whatever weird warehouse club you're at, it's like a jam. But
Yeah,
good
maybe.
God, if you're sitting here in isolation times, just being like, "Oh, gotta take some notes, gotta really do some critical thinking on this music," and the music's like, woo, woo. It's like they were trying to bore into my skull with sounds.
Yeah. No, and maybe that's appealing if you
Maybe.
like skull bores.
Skull bores.
But
Yeah.
not for me.
It's like whereas the original song thrives in its simplicity and kind of just punching textures, this does not thrive in simplicity. It's repetitive and painful.
Kind of has the like dance remix I don't even like condition of like kind of not really taking that much from the original and not doing much with a sample.
Yeah.
That's what I would say about this one. Like it didn't seem like it needed to be there. Didn't need Down with the Sickness in this because
it's kind of
enough
it's
other
like
stuff.
hanging up like it's like posting up a picture of a Christmas tree in your house, like you cut it out of paper and you're like, well, it's Christmas decorations are up.
And then
It's like so you're pretending it's new metal hardcore dance music because you borrowed a Down with the Sickness quote.
and also it's July.
Yeah, exactly. like everything's out of place.
Like what are you doing? And then you start just like drawing circles on the tree. And you're like, I'm decorating my Christmas tree.
Yeah, look at that. I like that. Like it looks like shit. You're like, no, it looks like shit because it's Christmas in July. Like it's when the real reason it looks like shit, it's because of shit. That's what I'm saying with this song.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Well, we beat
Yep.
that metaphor to death.
We certainly did.
Let's talk about Midnite String Quartet in
Midnite.
2014.
String Quartet.
Let's be clear, this is not the Midnite String Quartet, who spells Midnight Night. You know.
Oh,
night
this
part
is
of
a
it anyway.
different Midnight String Quartet?
Yes, this is Nite night.
Have we talked about Midnight String Quartet before?
It wouldn't surprise me if we had.
Because this sounds kind of familiar. Because all the things I thought about this felt familiar, but I couldn't find another reference to them.
No.
So,
Let's see.
and I don't know what song it would be. I like the way I like the tone in this song.
Yeah.
This version. Everything has got this like woodiness to it. And like it's a little bit darker sounding than you might expect from a string quartet,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
They really did succeed in putting a dark tone on this.
Yeah, and like it seems like you're kind of playing pretty aggressively. They kind of start with this like they do that, but it's just on like a low, I'm going to say cello. I don't know exactly. One of
Yeah.
the bass ones. But yeah, it's got this kind of broadness to the tone that gives it this like darkness. But it's always hard to talk about these instrumental ones very specifically.
Mhm.
It is kind of neat, like they do the wahs, like bring it in on like a violin or something, just be like, "Dee-dee-dee-dee,"
Yeah.
which was actually done reasonably well.
Yeah, just like a da-da-da-da. Yeah, they really find ways to make the strings sound harsh, whether it's by like plucking them or just playing them like really high and like really short and sharp. Like,
Right.
they do bring out some of the grittier noises, and I appreciate that.
And then they play the melody. I don't think it's a violin. It might be a violin, but it sounds a little lower to me. But I'm not an expert on this. I like the way they play that as well. Kind of starting with like some more staccato notes and then doing like a smoother transition later on. You know what I'm talking about? Like between notes. I'm trying to find an example.
Yeah, if you could timestamp me something, which I know is difficult.
Let me just go to like a minute in, and you get this like dun, like it'll do like a repeated note, like dun 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 dun. Let me try that again. Dun 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 dun. Nope, I shouldn't be doing this with my voice, but like they kind of like they'll do like a smoother
Right, so it
transition
does like
for
a
some.
almost like
kinda
warming
like
it up. It's like dun, dun,
dip.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, sort of like they're sliding a bit, but like it's very smooth, which gives it almost like a kind of like South Asian or Middle Eastern sound.
Yeah, I picked up Middle Eastern vibes from it. I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, which is kind of an interesting. And now I'm wondering if like that is present in the original.
Yeah,
Or
because I
if
was about to say, like, they're mimicking of his use of sort of staccato and whatever the opposite of staccato is.
legato.
Staccato and legato, yeah, in the singing, where it's like, dun, 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 dun. Like, they do a pretty good job of translating that to this deeper violin.
Yeah, but viola? Um,
Is it? I feel like
maybe.
is a viola deeper?
It's a good question.
I got no ideas.
Viola is a string instrument
And they
slightly
got
larger than a violin and has a lower, deeper sound.
okay. Look at that.
But yeah, that's kind of the cool thing about this one. Overall, I thought it got a little repetitive.
Yep.
I didn't think that this particular song was maybe enough to carry an entire instrumental version, just because of the way, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm less into the specific riffs and stuff.
Because once they've pulled out the first minute and a half, like once
Right.
they've done intro, verse, chorus,
Right.
they're just doing it again. Like, no offense to
Yeah.
them, but we don't get another change up until the 3:30 mark where they start adding in like a little bit more percussive noise. And I guess they do the bridge at 3 minutes, but like that one actually sounds pretty similar to the rest of it, that bridge.
Yeah, so maybe they could have cut out a little bit in the middle, but I like a lot of the things they did for sure.
Yeah, I think they make a good like suspenseful version. They take that simple progression and really punch it with the strings and then layer on other strings on top, a little plucking, a little like kind of slapping and shit. And that I think is like from instrumental versions we've heard, particularly when it's these like orchestral style ones.
Right.
One of the biggest mistakes we see is when they're like, okay, we're gonna take this sad song and make it like grand,
Yeah.
and, like epic.
Or make it really sound like the kind of thing you'd hear in like I don't know, like period drama where they have a string quartet in their lounge or whatever.
Yeah,
Like for their dinner party, and it's just like kind of pleasant sounding, whereas this this one sticks kind of with the tone of the original pretty well.
Yeah, and it hits that tone really well. So I'd say great job nailing that tone. It's you did shorten it up from the original. It's still a little long. If there could have been some more variations coming in, would have been a better version.
But pretty solid overall.
Pretty solid overall. Let's
Good
talk
ideas.
about Robyn, Adele, Anderson. We're jumping all the way to 2019 now.
Yeah. Everything else
Actually,
is 2019 or 2020, so.
And actually, yeah. Oh, actually, sorry. We actually have to bump up. Mock Jensen is actually 2018. His
Oh, is
YouTube
he?
video is yeah.
Okay. All right,
I
we'll
found
talk
that out
about
yesterday. Forgot to
Mock
look. So let's talk about
Jensen.
Mock Jensen.
Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate, let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on.
He's a country EDM artist.
Yeah, singer-songwriter. And this is country EDM, very unlike Mickey Modell from The Gambler.
Yeah, this kind of starts much slower, and it seems more like folk country kind of bluegrass sort of thing at first, because it opens with like violin playing that opening riff. The is that even
And
the
then
opening riff, or is it a little
Yeah,
different?
it's
It's from the guitar solo. It's the later guitar part on the violin.
That's right. You're right. And then it's got a guitar in the back just doing like a little arpeggio, like a boom, ding, doom, ding, doom, ding, doom, ding.
Yes, pretty. Just like acoustic guitar picking, finger picking kind of
with
thing.
some filters thrown on it.
Yeah, definitely filters. Once he comes in, it's very like. I mean, his accent seems very like bluegrassy, but obviously that has more to do with where you're
Twangy
from.
as fuck. Yeah.
But yeah. Broken your yeah. And like there's so much like lo-fi. This track is dripping in lo-fi.
Dripping, yeah.
It's
Heavy
just like
lo-fi
breaking
vibes on
up.
this
You're getting
one.
that like static in the high, like it's
Yeah, it's like he's calling you from a shitty payphone and singing to you.
and especially once the drums come in the second half of the verse. Like it's
Yeah.
this kick that's just like breaking up.
But not like blown out like the Proto X
Yeah,
version.
not ridiculously. Well, it's pretty heavy, but there's more restraint than that one, which isn't saying much.
Yeah, my ears can palate this a lot better. There's a fucking really good bass on this. I just heard it come in at the 129 mark here. It's that bass that isn't doing a lot, but it sounds cool doing what it's doing.
Which is like the
Just like-
best kind of bass.
That's the best kind of bass, dude. I'll
didn't
be
even
honest
notice the
with you,
bass
like
listening to
I
it.
didn't think I was gonna like this version. And what's crazy to me is that this dude only has like 59 subscribers on YouTube.
Really?
This
That's pretty
this sounds
low.
like he should be like a big YouTube guy already.
Yeah, or like have some kind of following. I'm sure
Yeah,
he has
like-
surely some kind of following. He's got 216 monthly listeners, which is not that many.
Hey, check out his Discovered On playlists. You might notice that my playlist is there. If you go to his, I think you go to About.
Is it on About?
Discovered
Okay.
On, yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Right at the top. Right
Right
on.
at the top, baby.
Hey.
And he does a new cover song every Sunday, apparently. So if y'all are into cover music and you want something a little different, like this, I haven't heard much quite like this. Check out Mock Jensen.
Yeah.
I'm
Right
not huge
on.
on the twanginess, but other than that, I thought he put together a pretty solid composition here.
Yeah, it's very I mean, the like EDM stuff that comes in the second part was a bit of a shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't looked up who he was or read the cover of the album, which is Cover Country EDM Volume 1. But yeah, it like goes from this very like kind of simple like bluegrass feeling thing with that acoustic guitar, and then suddenly like you got this like drum machine doing these like slow like not like trap, but it's kind of got that ratcheting drum. And,
Right, yeah. And
like-
it hits like little triplets on there.
Yeah, exactly. And then like yeah, with that cymbal and with the like this synthesizer that's just like this very like broad like wah, pad thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a lot. It's very like almost like cacophonous in that second chorus. Like it's very
Yeah.
like
Because
like
he adds
kinda
a lot of crunch in
textural.
there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it kind of cuts down and like the violin plays a bit after that chorus.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting. I haven't heard this combination of genres before. I don't think. If
No, not
much.
like this. I don't know if
Um,
this is a popular styling and maybe we're just like, idiots who haven't seen it before, but I was pretty impressed.
I mean, we are pretty detached from country, so
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, neat.
Yeah. I've written here, hang on. Oh, yeah, because Get Down is old timey talk for dance. So that's why it's good to make a dance version of this.
Get down.
That was another joke I was
Down
going
with
to
the
make.
Sickness.
If if it was your mother get up, your father get up, it would just be like an old 50s dance song. It'd be like, let's do the twist. Come on, everybody, get down with the sickness.
Come on, everybody.
Your mother gets up, she gets down with the sickness. If only I'd remembered those earlier.
Oh well.
Yeah, I like the violin on this. I think the persistent, like, acoustic guitar holding it down in the back was good. I like the effects on the vocals. That bass was super fucking tasty, and
Bass. I'm gonna have to check it out again because I didn't really hear the bass.
I really liked it. It's just like boom, ba-dum, boom. It's just got a good tone on it. Yeah, like this one. Any other comments on this, Alex?
No, it's all from me.
All right, now let's get into Robyn Adele Anderson in
Now let's
2019.
talk about Robyn Adele Anderson.
Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your head and let it go into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your head and let it go into me. You mother, get up, come on, you fucker, get up, come on. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness.
So
She's a
she,
fucking Scott Bradley contributor.
yeah, she did a lot of postmodern jukebox stuff until about 3 years ago. Don't know what happened, but looking at her Wikipedia page in 2016, that was the last Scott Bradley credit.
Mhm.
And apparently she's released 4 volumes of cover songs in in 2019. Like there's 4 volumes here and they're all listed as 2019. It's possible she recorded them over a longer time period and released them all last
Maybe.
year, but
Or maybe
I don't know.
that's why she left Postmodern Jukebox. They were
To do her
slowing her
own stuff.
down.
I think that's probably true cuz honestly I kind of dig this one.
This one is, and I think it holds true to what I would imagine her stylings are from being a postmodern jukebox like heavyweight contributor. It's, and I'm shooting in the dark here, but it feels like a sort of Beyonce styled like pop power anthem.
I can't really comment on that.
It's got that like pop anthem vibe though, where the chorus becomes this like real power vibe.
Okay, interesting. I wish I could comment on that more, but
And also some
my
jazz
brain is
elements. Can you
betraying me.
comment on those?
There do seem to be some jazz elements, particularly the way they kind of take the beginning, or the thing that stood out to me, the way they take that kind of intro riff and like slide it up and down. You know, before it's like da 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 da, like,
Yeah.
but now it's like so it's like kind of turning it into this like progression that wasn't there before, and then kind of this low piano. It's all on the piano now, and this like low part just being like do 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 do. So that kind of like has that
Yeah.
constant sound when they're also doing the sliding up and down.
Mm-hmm. And that, I imagine, helps them to keep it a little more interesting without changing up the bass notes or the bass pattern.
It sounds about right to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And she does a lot with the piano comes in on the suddenly it changes part, so like the second half of the verse.
Right. Yes. The piano comes kind of like starts to play chords.
Yeah.
And there's more drums too. I think they move a little bit up. So I would definitely not like. I was expecting more of like a throwback 50s style in this one. That doesn't seem to be the case.
No, it seems very modern pop styled to me,
Yeah.
but again, that's not my expertise.
Right. Although I also think her singing's like not as much in pop, but a little bit of that jazz as well.
Yeah, it's sitting kind of between those two.
But they also, I mean, they managed to keep everything like low enough that they still do maintain that darkness from the original, which is kind of what like Midnite String Quartet did as well.
Yeah.
I think this is fairly successful in that regard. Also,
Yeah, because it's a pretty low piano even as it moves through those chords, and then they add things like little piano stings, some violin coming in sharp. Like it's very much meant to be like aggressive, if not dark.
yeah, and the other thing that strikes me as a little bit jazzy is a lot of the drum rhythm gets kind of moved into snare instead of tom territory,
Mhm.
which just gives it that kind of snappier sound and just makes it feel a little different, but it's similar rhythm.
Yeah, they do try to sort of mimic the structure of the rhythm while maybe breaking it down a little and changing where the hits are.
Yeah. I don't know exactly about. It's adapted.
Mm-hmm. Adapted
Also,
is a much smarter way to say what I just said.
also, I should mention, does not attempt the wah, which is
That's right.
probably a good move. Most people don't. Although,
Most people put it on the
because
instruments.
it's tough, and this one it's on the violin as well. It's kind of got that.
Yeah. Tin, 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 tin.
Quick violins. Probably the big problem I had with this one, it's not huge and might even make sense if we talk about it and say it out loud, is for the chorus she sounded a little slow, like a little behind the beat. Did you notice that? She almost seemed like the way she was singing was not like snappy enough to keep up. And maybe
I feel like it's her
Yeah.
discomfort with the word fucker. Like I feel like she tries to swallow it a little. You mother get up, you fucker get up.
maybe,
say
but I even
fucker.
felt it like in the beginning part, like I'm gonna get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Like I don't know, it sounds a little behind to me, and it just feels like maybe she's just like enunciating or something, and maybe it's supposed to be a little bit jarring.
Yeah, maybe. Because something about that segment, even if I didn't necessarily pick up on behind the beat, it did throw me off a little. I was like, something's not right here. And yeah, that's
yeah, I
tough
don't know
because
what it
that's
is.
supposed to be like the kind of the biggest part of the song.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing, maybe it's just because in the original it's so like madness at the like it's part of
Mhm.
that like rhythm. So when because the voice is kind of floating above the rhythm now and it's not down in the the
Yeah,
grit
it's not
with that
rooted in
those
there.
hits,
Yeah.
that it feels disconnected more, even if it's like very close, or maybe it's just more noticeable in this situation.
And she does try doing a lot of different things with the like sort of the meter of the lyrics, shoving them into different sort of timing. She's like, living with these changes, something with these changes. Like she is really moving words around a lot.
And yeah, maybe that's just a little awkward, but I don't know.
But yeah, I would say in terms of making like a dark pop anthem, I think it hits right with while missing a few like bonus marks.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some neat stuff that kind of gets added later on. Like there's
Yeah,
a
there's a jazz sort of like bridge section at 225. The
there's
piano comes in, you get a little bit
there's
of
like a
jazzy
violin
drums.
solo.
Yeah, and the violins start building in on that section.
There's also like in the second verse, they add this. I don't know. It's like pizzicato strings kind of sound around like 136, just being like bling, bling, bling. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, they're like ding, ding.
Yeah. And I was like trying to figure out what it was. I was like, is it some kind of like banjo or piano synth with this weird fast decay? And like, nah, I'm pretty sure it's just strings. But I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird because it's a very like particular kind of like pluck or something on
Yeah.
there.
Let's see.
But
yeah.
so
Also,
they do a good job of adding in pop textures, whereas the original has this very like grungy, dirty textures. They find a way to layer the song without making it like weird in that genre they've chosen.
yeah. Also, if you want a little more of that jazz, it's like 2:35. Like the piano gets to do its own little solo, and it's like, I would say almost like Aladdin Sane levels of just like, almost sounds like it's just hitting random keys, but it kind of makes sense.
I don't know. It seems pretty
I don't know. Maybe it's just that
pretty
it's
tame
fast.
compared to
I
Aladdin
mean, it's
Sane for
not
me,
Aladdin
yeah.
Sane, but like, kind
But
of
yeah,
like
that
blah,
starts
blah,
at
blah,
about
blah, blah.
225. That sort of jazz breakdown.
No, I'm
which
talking about.
ends with
Oh,
the,
you're talking about that. I'm talking about later on.
no, that you're talking about 10 seconds later when it's
Like-
still going.
Oh, hang on a minute. Am I crazy?
I think so, Alex. Starts at like 223.
Talking about like, maybe it's closer to 240.
Well,
Like
it ends
238?
with the violin
I think
coming
it's
in.
different.
No, that's all one segment though.
Yes, but it's like the end of it.
Oh, so at 241 is the diddly 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 do.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of keys,
Yeah.
man.
A lot of keys.
That's all I'm saying. It's keys.
She keeps the abrupt finish like the original. She says the last line and it just cuts.
Which is kind of what the original does, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad we haven't got shitty fade outs in a while.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm pretty psyched about that.
That's a weird thing we've learned about ourselves is how anti fade out we are.
And then as soon as we decided that, like, we haven't got a fade out since then.
Yeah, suddenly everybody's
It's
like,
not a
okay,
bad
fine.
one.
Yep.
So I guess that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Marco Landry?
Get out, come on, get down with the sickness. Get out, come on, get down with the sickness. Come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your eighth and look at me. Get up and get down with the sickness. Your mother got to come.
Yeah, but I don't think we need to for very long.
Yeah, he is a Montreal comedian from my understanding.
Okay, he's got to be, right? I
Yeah.
didn't look up the comedian part, but I mean, according to his bio, he's the #1 Montreal's artist of his time.
Yeah, it's full of jokes. That final thing
Yeah.
it says on there is like I thought it was a good joke. It says loved by hundreds of loved by 100 of fans. He's the one you want to listen.
Yeah, it sounds like.
As in you don't want to hear him sing, you want him to listen. It's a good joke. But the joke is that he forgot to put the words "to" at the end. He's the one
Right.
you want to listen to.
Okay.
Pretty good
He's-
structure on that, I think.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you that one. But I refuse to think about it. So basically he's taken the original track as far as I can tell and
Yeah, I
put
kept
his own
playing them
singing
back
on
and
top
forth
of
to
it.
see if it was different or not, and I'm still not sure.
Yeah, I mean, either it's a really good imitation or he's just stripped the vocals out
Mm-hmm.
and then sung poorly on top of it.
Yeah, and French Canadianly.
Yeah, so like he's got this French Canadian accent. He's off key. He's off beat. And there's like I was
Very
listening to it.
nasally.
Yeah, and I was like there's no way it's this bad if it's not on purpose. So
Mhm.
it's a joke. But I don't know.
Yeah, he's also got a version of You're Beautiful up on his YouTube channel, but that's the only song he had up there. The rest is just like comedy videos he does and like reviews of movies.
Oh, I should have looked at his other stuff on his YouTube channel then.
Yeah,
Because I
so it's
did not.
I like almost laughed a bit in the
ASMR,
unfortunately
dope.
in the abuse section, just because that's most of him doing the talking, and I was like, yeah, French Canadians do sound funny. I was just like, well, because like that's the only funny part about this, right? That's the comedy is that he's got a silly voice and he's saying English stuff.
Yeah, and it just sounds like very awkward. Where's the sound coming from? Oh, I found it.
Yeah, where is the sound coming from?
I had sound playing and I wasn't sure where it was from.
It's
It was
coming
from
from
YouTube.
inside the house.
It was from
Huh.
YouTube. It was from inside the house. Yeah. So that's this song. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, it is another comedy oddity, which we like to look at here on Cover Me and say, is this funny? What? And then we just
Is it
gotta move
funny?
on.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe.
With that, we move into 10-second songs in it says 2020. Is 2020 right?
Yeah,
Sure.
because he came out with this like in January or something. I think if you look on
Okay.
his
Perfect.
YouTube page. Have we talked about this guy before?
Not in any official context, because
Right.
before this week I didn't know that he did full like band parody versions.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
for those of you who don't
seeing-
know 10-second songs, sorry, I'll just get this out
Sure.
of the way.
Sure.
He'll take like a single song. He's a YouTube artist. He's been on there since March of 2014, and he'll do a single song in the style of a bunch of different artists, generally in like 10-second clips. So that's why it's called 10-second songs. So he'll start off singing like, for example, Down with the Sickness, like Adele or something, and then 10 seconds later it'll be like Johnny Cougar Mellencamp, and then John Denver, and then John Lennon. You go
Yeah.
through all the Johns.
Different, you gotta go through the Johns, then the Aarons.
But yeah, I'll do it in all
Alphabetical.
these like diverse styles. Then you go like, oh wow, he's quite skilled at cutting together audio and also producing music.
Yeah.
And so
and he does like he
yeah,
did do this in 20 styles or whatever.
Yeah,
It's got like Simon and Garfunkel, Childish Gambino, and gonna find something else I know. Pink Floyd. He did Rush,
There
I
you
think,
go.
on this one. There might have been a different one. Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then people voted on which one they wanted to record a full version of.
Oh, was that how it came to this?
Yeah, so if you watch the end of the video, he's like, you can vote on. So like this was out in January 10th, and then like later in January he released the full version.
Well, because here's the interesting things: is on Disturbed's album, The Sickness. There's a song called "Shout 2000," which is a cover of "Shout" by Tears for Fears.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
and I thought that it was just an interesting the way he does the percussion on this one. I thought that was sort of the linking factor, was like Tears for Fears percussion is pretty, like, they go a little weird with it sometimes, and that
Right.
plays well to a cover of this. And that and the themes of like negative feelings and sort of like mental unwellness are pretty Tears for Fearsy. Like a lot of things kind of overlap in a weird way.
It is interesting to think about. I'll admit I didn't think about it very much though.
Well, Alex, that's I'm always glad you put in a lot of effort on this.
Anytime.
Yeah, it would have been something to think about.
Oh yeah. What a thought.
What
I
a
can't
thought.
I can't think on the spot. That's not my
I
game.
can't fucking say much though, because apparently I didn't write any notes for this.
Okay. Yeah, this guy what's his name? Anthony Vincent.
Yeah, born
Um,
Anthony Vincent changed his name to 10-second songs this year. Legally.
So and like he's come up when I've been searching up songs generally. I don't even remember why, but I've seen him do some stuff. Also, he did one I saw a little while ago, was Enter Sandman in the style of like David Bowie Let's Dance, which is pretty amusing.
That's pretty amusing.
Yeah, so this song is basically it is Down with the Sickness, but it is also Shout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very songs from the big chair, I would say, to give it a little more
absolutely.
room. But yeah, that percussion is, I'm pretty sure, straight from Shout. Yeah, and it's a pretty faithful like recreation of like Tears for Fears kind of tropes, if you call them that. I think he did a
Yeah.
pretty good effort on the whoa-oh-ohs as
The
a
whoa, oh, yeah, like with this echo on the vocals and like everything is like the kicks are huge. This is like very 80s.
mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, and then, like,
there's a
and
music video
the-
as well.
Oh, is there? I didn't watch it.
I mean, it's the Shout music video, but with this guy instead.
Okay.
So like he's
Makes
just, and of
sense.
course it's all him. So when it's showing both their faces kind of superimposed, it's just like his
Okay.
own face singing both parts, kind of thing. So it's pretty amusing, pretty well
Yeah,
done.
pretty
Like it's
amusing,
very
well
good,
put
like
together.
Tears for Fears imitation, and very well done, like fitting one song into the other.
Yeah. And then like turning the chorus into this get up, come on, get down, like this call and response almost.
Yeah, and like changing the melody to be more like Down with the Sickness, like more Tears for Fearsy. So it's kind of it's really
Mhm.
taking every part of the song and making it more Tears for Fears.
I
Like
could have sworn I took notes for this one.
sometimes things get deleted.
Yeah, that might have happened. But yeah, there's yeah, like I said, the percussion is Tears for Fears. Like it's I'm fucking I'm drowning here, Alex. Throw me a life raft.
Right, sorry, you don't have any notes. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it either, cuz like it's that. Like it's an imitation of one song but with the lyrics of another kind of. And
Oh, I
it's
was gonna say
pretty
they
well
don't
done.
say motherfucker. They just
I-
repeat get up each time.
Oh, so he changes the chorus a bit and doesn't do the like
Yeah.
ending part.
And
Which-
weirdly enough, he keeps the abuse scene in. No, I'm kidding.
No, yeah, that's gone. And like more synth work and stuff. So it does
Yeah.
have the section like the dee-nee-nee-nee-nee,
Mm-hmm.
but like just keeps that as kind of like a solo, and then just like brings in that like synthy bass kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean if you think that the drums from Shout should be in more things, which they probably should be, this is the song to listen to.
Yeah. If you want a version of this your dad will like, show him this one. If your dad likes Tears for Fears, I don't know if that's a big dad rock band.
My dad likes Tears for Fears.
Fuck yeah, right on.
So there you go.
Oh yeah, they really punched up the pre-chorus thing, the "And When I Dream" bit. In the original, you can barely hear him saying "When I Dream," but in this, they bust out like a sax and really put some emphasis on that. That'd
Right,
be
that's
my-
the kind of like what is it? Bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
Section.
Yeah. With that, that's our final song we're going to talk about. So we're going to move into our final verdict. We have 3 categories today: the best version, the worst version, and the sickest version.
Sickest version.
Sick. That can be sick and twisted. That can be sick like a kickflip. That can be sick like ill. Whatever you fucking like. Alex, what is the worst version of this and why?
What's the worst version of this? It's Proto X. I mean, I can't like Marco Landry probably kind of, but like doesn't really count cuz that's what he was trying to do, and like I'll admit I didn't think it was that funny, but I'm sure there's a joke like if you have a little more context.
Yeah, maybe it's something you need to follow along with.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's maybe not my favorite joke of like, hey, look how bad I am. I'm trying to be bad on purpose.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing something. But Proto X definitely.
Yeah, Proto X for me too. Even though again, because I just don't know how to evaluate comedy and then take that into equation. Like, if we give him worse, does that mean he wins? So be
Yeah,
like,
is that what
this
he's going
they
for?
do
Like,
not get my joke.
but like, do we want him to not win? Like, is this a contest?
I don't. It's just it's just like just an evaluation.
Yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, Proto X is just
I
like
don't know.
it's violence against my ears. I don't mind harsh music. I don't mind something a little more aggressive, but this is like Sonic Warfare levels of just mean.
Yeah, it's a
It's
lot.
not
It's a
it's
lot.
too much. There's not enough changing. Things go on for too long.
It just
The
can't
song
deal with
itself
these
is too long.
changes.
I can't deal with the lack of changes, really. And
Yeah.
it just gets to me. Alex, what is the best version of this?
What is the best version? Because there were a couple I liked, and there were a couple that did some interesting things. But honestly, I think the one that I liked the most was probably Robyn Adele Anderson.
Oh.
Yeah, which I mean, I was kind of going between her and Midnite String Quartet, but I think she
Okay.
probably takes it in the end.
Yeah, I
just
think
by
she
a
got a
little
good
bit.
structure set up.
Because like I found hers a little more interesting than the instrumental in this particular case. I mentioned that one was a
Mhm.
little on the repetitive side, and
Yeah.
I think she does.
Plus, she
some...
brings some violins into hers as well, so she
Yes, and they kind of do
some of
some
what
of
that
the
version
same things plus more.
had. Yeah.
Not all the same things, obviously, but and a little jazzy, but not like some of them where like they're like this is the jazz version and they go really hard on the jazz and like kind of focus more on the jazz than the song.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
it let the jazz out for a bit, and then it was like, okay,
just like don't just you can play here, but don't break anything.
yeah, exactly. It's respect the space.
Yeah, and I liked it.
Yeah, I think the Robyn Adele Anderson version definitely surpasses the Midnight String Orchestra or Quartet. And I think Midnight String did a great job too. For me, I was like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the mock Jensen version because for me, it is. I went to this video on his YouTube page, and this guy in the comments is like, it's like he basically is just like, it's crazy that you only have like 59 followers. And that was my thought too. I was just like, he sounds like the level of production and the product he's putting out. I mean, maybe I'm gonna go listen to like his other songs. I'm gonna be like, oh, he's just a hack who does
Like-
the same trick over and over
Like,
again.
oh, it's actually not for me. What are you gonna do?
I still don't think it is for me, but I still think this is a pretty
Interesting.
like good composition. It pulls on to the sort of like darker tone of the original, and
Hmm.
it's just got good elements in it, some good crunch. I'm not a fan of twangy vocals, but I mean, do your fucking thing.
It's got
It's
69 subscribers. Hmm.
hmm,
Do I want
I'm
to
like,
change that?
hold on, no, guys, we got to move him up in increments of 100. So if all
Yeah.
100 of our fans could get together, subscribe at the same time, love you forever. No, but I'd say it's worth checking out. I'm gonna keep an eye on him for any future covers too, because I don't know, it's fucking interesting. So yeah, he's my best version. Alex, what's the sickest version and why?
What's the sickest version?
What's the sickest?
Proto X probably makes me feel the sickest.
Gotcha,
But,
Proto X.
Hey, take
You
that.
little bitch.
The sickest version. The sickest version. What's the sickest version? I thought the one that was probably most able to recreate like the grittiness of the original was Midnight
Mhm.
String Quartet. And
Oh yeah.
and that like kind of sickness feeling, even though it was different, but it like had this like lowerness. That's not a word, but I'm gonna use it anyway. It had this like
I'll allow it.
lower quality to it, darker quality that didn't have that same like retching feeling necessarily, but probably got closer than any of the other covers.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I'm going to give it to that one.
It's a good pick, Alex. I think the sickest one here. It's sick. It's fucking twisted, bro. What
Sick.
if you took a new metal classic and you just ripped its guts out and made it prog rock?
Oof,
You sick fuck. You
Ugh.
fucking twisted motherfucker.
that's Ugh.
I'm gonna give it to
Imagine.
10-second songs because that's you're out of your fucking gourd, bro. You're twisted.
Anthony,
fucking-
Tony,
Anthony,
Vince,
Tony Vince,
crazy man.
you're
Crazy.
fucked, bro. You're fucked.
Oh,
Anyway, that's been our final verdict. If you have a similar opinion, different opinion, or want to talk to us about a cover we didn't talk about, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. You can send us an email at covermepod@gmail.com. Email us your comments, questions, concerns, other stuff, playlists you have, fucking, I don't know, email us stuff. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, the works. Tell your friends about us. We don't have a budget, and all y'all are stuck indoors chilling and stuff. So just share podcasts with each other. With that, we're gonna get into our bonus segment, which I am calling "Was this song suggested to be banned for 9/11?"
I can't wait.
Motherfucker, that's been. Oh my god, what file did I put that in? If not this one. This is strange for me, Alex. But
Are these notes
okay.
lost as well?
These notes are lost, but I can reconstruct them pretty easily. So, as you know, Alex, 9/11 was a tragedy that happened to us.
When was that
and
again?
It was on 9/11.
Oh. Oh.
You might have missed.
Sorry.
You weren't born yet. It's fine.
Right.
So there's something launched then, or a document that was released, the Clear Channel Memorandum from the company Clear Channel Communications, now known as iHeartMedia, which had a list of songs that the directors felt were lyrically questionable to play in the aftermath of attack. It wasn't like an outright ban, but it was basically a suggestion like, don't play these songs. And
Right.
listening to Down with the Sickness this week, I think if they were to release that kind of list again, like Down with the Sickness would obviously be on there.
Might already be on a similar list.
It might be. But I want to see if you can guess which songs were... so I've compiled a list in my mind now of songs that were banned and songs that weren't banned. So some of these have been banned, some are not. It's up to you to determine whether it's true or false that this
Okay.
song was banned on this list. Now, are you
Okay.
ready, Alex?
I am ready.
So the first song is Louis Armstrong, "What a Wonderful World."
So banned or not?
Yes,
I think that was banned.
it was in fact banned. Nice work. Which is, I don't know, that's crazy to me. Also, the Sam Cooke "Wonderful World" also banned.
Just for association? I think we talked about that on the episode. I think that's probably
Yeah.
why I kind of knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's so bizarre. Like, do they just not want people to be too hopeful? Is there imagery in that song about? I don't think there is. See, what I'm thinking of, there was an ad for it was a Ratchet and Clank game that had a version of that song in the ad, and it's like, I see skies of blue, red roses too, and like they're destroying things because it was,
Yeah,
I think,
I seem
tools
to
of
recall
destruction,
that.
and they're just like things are blowing up, and it's like slow motion maybe, I don't remember, but like, so I'm thinking like I associate, because I remember that commercial, that song kind of with destruction, but there's nothing in the song to suggest that,
Right.
and that was years later. So what? I don't know. That's weird.
I don't know, man. That is weird. What I can tell you is that I'm going to give you another song to guess on. The Doors' "Light My Fire."
Oh, that's got to be banned.
No, actually.
No.
"The End" by The Doors was banned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The End. That makes a little more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they didn't want people thinking about how jet fuel couldn't melt steel beams.
Yeah, they didn't want people
Probably.
thinking about fire.
So
Here's the next one for you, Alex. Billy Joel, "New York State of Mind."
New York City. Ooh. I feel like they don't talk about the World Trade Center. I'm gonna say, just based on your last one, that they actually banned No, that's Miami. Oh fuck. No, but it's Miami 2017 or whatever. Is that the number?
It's something like that.
Um,
So you're right. I'll give
yeah.
you this. They did not ban "New York State of Mind."
Right. I can say it wasn't that one movie.
And it wasn't.
was Seen the
They
Lights
did
Out on
ban a
Broadway.
Billy Joel song. Do you want to take one guess? What
Another
that Billy
another
Joel
guess.
song
So it's
is?
not Miami
Yeah.
2017.
No.
It's gonna be so obvious when you say it, probably. But
I know. You're gonna kick yourself.
I'm trying to think of Billy Joel songs right now.
And it's not Good Night Saigon.
Okay, that was I was gonna guess that one. Just like I have no idea.
Only the Good Die Young.
Okay, no, yeah, that makes sense. All right, sure. Weird though. Just talking about death, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's another one for you. Van Halen, Dancing in the Streets.
Dancing in the Streets? I bet you it was Jump. It was Jump, wasn't it?
Well, you are right that it was Jump, but it was also
It was also
Dancing in the Street by Van
Streets.
Halen, but not Dancing in the Street by David Bowie. That one was fine to play.
The David Bowie Mick Jagger version was fun.
Yeah, that one was fine.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting. Here we go. The Zombies, She's Not There.
She's not there. Ooh. I'm gonna say that was banned.
That's correct, Alex. Good
Okay.
guess.
All right.
I've got two more, which is just to do a thing.
Okay.
Let me see here. So Peter, Paul, and Mary, Leaving on a Jet Plane.
Oh, I bet you that was banned.
You are correct.
That
Now,
they had
Alex,
that's an airplane one.
tell me this. John Denver, Leaving on an Airplane.
Wait. No?
I mean, leaving on a jet plane. No, yeah.
Okay.
So the original version, the John Denver version, was not banned.
Well, people
Or, like,
need
not
John
suggested
Denver to
be
bring them
banned.
hope. Peter, Paul, and Mary are just harbingers of death.
Harbingers of Death. Yeah, there's so many like crazy ones on this that are just like
It's just, I mean, it's kind of an absurd like thing anyway.
my favorite though, which I'm about to reveal to you, is Rage Against the Machine. Their entire discography.
All Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine.
Like, people don't need that right now. And yet, probably did. Interesting.
Yeah. So that has been our bonus segment, Alex. I didn't keep score, but I'm sure you got 100%.
I think I did, actually. I think I got
way to
extra because I guessed one that you didn't say.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. So you
Bonus
ahead of the curve on
points.
this one. Yeah, that's a fun, strange time in our life is suggesting not to play songs on the radio.
Yeah,
With
that's
that,
so
that's
happy.
the end of the episode. Thank you for joining us. And as we always say on Cover Me, I wrote this one down this time.
Ooh.
Madness is the gift that has been Cover Me.